Society has taught you to be a victim, and it's destroying your chances of success. You've been programmed to blame the economy, your boss, your parents, the government, or anyone else for your problems. You've been taught that successful people are lucky, corrupt, or privileged. You've been convinced that the system is rigged against you and that you should be grateful for whatever scraps life throws your way. This victim mentality is poison that kills dreams and guarantees failure. While you're complaining about how unfair life is, successful people are taking responsibility for their results and doing something about them. The moment you stop being a victim and start being a victor is the moment everything changes. 97% of people will retire broke. 3% will retire wealthy. What makes the difference? Is it education, background, luck? The answer will shock you. Michael Martinez worked 18-hour days for 15 years. He hustled harder than anyone in his neighborhood. Every morning at 5 a.m. he was grinding. Every night past midnight he was still working. His friends called him crazy. His family worried about his health. But Michael believed that hard work alone would make him rich. After 15 years of this punishing schedule, Michael had exactly $400 in his savings account. He was exhausted, frustrated, and ready to give up on his dreams. His marriage was falling apart. His health was deteriorating. All that work, all those sacrifices, and he had nothing to show for it. Meanwhile, his neighbor, Alex, worked a normal 8-hour job, spent evenings with his family, took weekends off, and somehow had built a portfolio worth over $2 million. How was this possible? What did Alex know that Michael? The answer changed everything for Michael, and it will change everything for you too. Here's what separates the wealthy 3% from the struggling 97%. It's not talent. Talent is common. Walk into any coffee shop and you'll find talented people serving coffee instead of living their dreams. It's not intelligence either. Some of the smartest people I know are broke, while some of the richest people I know barely finished high school. The difference comes down to 3 simple things that anyone can master. 3 pillars that support every success story you've ever heard. 3 principles that, when combined, create an unstoppable force that turns ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. These 3 pillars are consistency, discipline, and mindset. Master these 3, and you master your destiny. Ignore them, and you'll join the 97% wondering where your life went wrong. Let me tell you something that will change how you think about success forever. Every person who has achieved anything significant in life has one thing in common. They understand the power of small actions repeated consistently over time. They know that success is not about massive, heroic efforts that last a few days or weeks. Success is about tiny, almost insignificant actions that compound over months and years. Think about water dripping on a rock. 1 drop does nothing. 10 drops do nothing. 100 drops do nothing visible. But give it time, and that same gentle dripping will carve through solid stone. The Grand Canyon wasn't created by a single flood. It was carved by water flowing consistently for millions of years. Your success works exactly the same way. 1 day of good habits won't transform your life. 1 week won't either. But 1 year of consistent daily action will create results that seem miraculous to everyone around you. They'll call you lucky. They'll say you're naturally gifted. They won't see the hundreds of small decisions you made when no one was watching. This is why Michael failed, despite all his hard work. He was inconsistent. Some days he worked on his business plan. Other days he worked on marketing. Then he'd spend weeks trying to perfect his product. He jumped from strategy to strategy, never giving any single approach enough time to work. He was like a farmer who plants seeds, then digs them up every few days to see if they're growing. Alex, on the other hand, did the same simple things every single day. He read for 30 minutes every morning. He saved 20% of every paycheck. He invested that money in index funds. He did this when he felt like it and when he didn't. He did it when the market was up and when it was down. He did it when he was excited about his future and when he was worried about his bills. The result, after 20 years, Alex had built real wealth while Michael was still struggling to pay his rent. But consistency alone isn't enough. You need the second pillar, discipline. Discipline is what keeps you moving forward when you don't feel like it. Motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you going. Motivation is like a flaky friend who shows up when they feel like it. Discipline is like a loyal partner who stands by you through thick and thin. And even consistency and discipline won't save you if you have the wrong mindset. Your mindset is like the foundation of a building. If the foundation is weak, the entire structure will collapse, no matter how beautiful it looks on the outside. If your foundation is strong, you can build as high as you want. Most people have been programmed since childhood to think small, to play it safe, to settle for less. They've been told that money is the root of all evil, that successful people are lucky or corrupt, that they should be grateful for whatever crumbs life throws their way. This programming runs so deep that even when they want to succeed, their subconscious minds sabotage their efforts. But when you combine the right mindset with unwavering consistency and iron discipline, something magical happens. You become unstoppable. Obstacles become stepping stones. Failures become learning experiences. Setbacks become setups for comebacks. The wealthy 3% understand this formula. They know that success is not a destination, but a way of traveling. They know that what you become in the pursuit of your goals is more important than the goals themselves. They know that the person who can consistently do what needs to be done with discipline and the right mindset will eventually get everything they want. The question is, are you ready to join that 3%? Are you ready to stop making excuses and start making progress? Are you ready to discover what you're truly capable of when you apply these 3 simple but powerful principles to your life? The choice is yours. But the time is now. Let's start with the first pillar that will transform everything. So what exactly is consistency, and why is it so powerful that it can transform an ordinary person into an extraordinary success? Consistency is showing up every single day, especially when you don't want to. It's doing the work when you're tired, when you're discouraged, when you're busy, and when you'd rather be doing anything else. Most people think consistency means being perfect. That's wrong. Consistency means being persistent. Let me share a story that proves this point. Rebecca Thompson was a single mother working 2 jobs just to pay the bills. She had a dream of starting her own photography business. But between work and raising her daughter, she barely had time to sleep, let alone build a business. Every expert told her she needed at least 4 hours a day to build a successful photography business. Rebecca only had 20 minutes during her lunch break. Most people would have given up. They would have said it's impossible. But Rebecca understood something most people don't. She decided to use those 20 minutes every single day, Monday through Friday, no exceptions. Some days she practiced taking photos with her phone. Other days she studied successful photographers online. Sometimes she just planned her next steps on a napkin while eating her sandwich. Her co-workers thought she was wasting her time. 20 minutes. What could anyone accomplish in 20 minutes? They told her to be realistic. They said she should wait until she had more time, more money, more experience. But Rebecca kept showing up, day after day, week after week, month after month. After 6 months, those 20-minute sessions had taught her more about photography than most people learn in years. After 1 year, she had built a small client base, taking photos on weekends. After 2 years, she quit her day jobs and was earning more from photography than she ever made working for someone else. Today, Rebecca runs one of the most successful photography studios in her city. She employs 12 people and has a waiting list of clients 6 months long, all because she understood the magic of consistency. Here's what most people miss about consistency. They think they need to make huge changes to see results. They want to exercise for 2 hours a day, read for 3 hours, work on their business for 5 hours. Then, when life gets in the way, they quit completely. But successful people think differently. They know that 1% improvement every day leads to being 37 times better in 1 year. They understand that small, consistent actions compound over time to create massive results. Think about this. If you read just 10 pages of a good book every single day, you'll read 18 books in 1 year. That's more books than most people read in their entire lifetime. If you do 50 push-ups every morning, by the end of the year you'll have done over 18,000 push-ups. Your body will be completely transformed. If you save just $5 every day, by the end of the year you'll have over $1,800. That's more than most people have in their emergency fund. These numbers might seem small, but the compound effect is enormous. The problem is that most people quit at exactly the wrong time. They quit when they're at 40% of their breakthrough. They plant the seed, water it for a few weeks, and when they don't see a tree growing, they assume it's not working. But success doesn't work that way. Success is like a bamboo plant. You water it every day for 4 years and see nothing. No growth, no progress, nothing visible above ground. Then in the 5th year, it grows 90 feet in just 6 weeks. Was it a sudden miracle? No. Those 4 years of consistent watering were building the root system that made the explosive growth possible. Your success works exactly the same way. Every day you show up, every day you do the work, you're building the root system for your breakthrough. You might not see it yet, but it's happening. The question is, will you keep watering your dreams, or will you quit like everyone else? The wealthy 3% understand this. They know that consistency beats intensity every single time. They know that showing up when you don't feel like it is what separates professionals from amateurs. They know that the person who can do something for a long time will always beat the person who can do something for a short time. But here's where most people go wrong with consistency. They try to rely on willpower alone. They think they can just force themselves to be consistent through sheer determination. This always fails because willpower is like a muscle that gets tired. You can't depend on it forever. That's where the second pillar comes in. You need more than consistency. You need discipline to enforce that consistency, even when your willpower runs out. Discipline is the bridge between thought and accomplishment. It's the bridge between inspiration and achievement. It's the bridge between necessity and productivity. Without discipline, consistency becomes impossible. So, it's the most important to, so discipline is the bridge between thought and accomplishment. It's the bridge between thought and accomplishment. If you have discipline, it's the bridge between thought and accomplishment. So here's the difference between motivation and discipline that most people never understand. Motivation is like the weather. It changes constantly. Some days you wake up feeling excited and ready to conquer the world. Other days you can barely get out of bed. Discipline doesn't care about your feelings. Discipline shows up regardless of how you feel. Carlos Rodriguez learned this lesson the hard way. He was 50 pounds overweight, and his doctor told him he was headed for a heart attack if he didn't change his lifestyle immediately. This scared Carlos so much that he joined a gym that same day and started working out for 2 hours every morning for the first week. Carlos was on fire. He felt motivated, energized, and confident. He told everyone about his new healthy lifestyle. He bought expensive workout clothes and protein supplements. He even posted about his workouts on social media. But by the third week, the motivation started wearing off. The alarm clock at 5 a.m. felt like torture. His muscles were sore. His schedule felt overwhelming. By the sixth week, Carlos had stopped going to the gym completely. Within 2 months, he had gained back the 15 pounds he had lost, plus 5 more. This cycle repeated itself 3 more times over the next 2 years. Each time, Carlos would get motivated, start strong, then quit when the motivation faded. He began to believe he was just not the type of person who could stick to an exercise routine. Then something changed Carlos's life forever. His friend David introduced him to a different approach. Instead of trying to work out for 2 hours when motivated, David suggested Carlos commit to just 15 minutes of walking every single day, whether he felt like it or not. Carlos thought this was too easy. How could 15 minutes make any difference? But David explained that this wasn't about the walking. This was about building the discipline muscle. Just like your biceps get stronger when you exercise them regularly, your discipline gets stronger when you use it consistently. Carlos started with his 15-minute walks. Some days he felt great and walked for 30 minutes. Other days he felt terrible, but still did his 15 minutes. Rain or shine, tired or energetic, busy or free. Carlos walked for 15 minutes every day. After 30 days, something amazing happened. The 15-minute walk felt automatic. It required no willpower, no motivation, no internal debate. It was just something Carlos did, like brushing his teeth or taking a shower. That's when David suggested adding 5 push-ups after each walk, then 5 minutes of stretching, then drinking an extra glass of water. Each habit was built on the foundation of the previous one, and each habit strengthened Carlos's discipline muscle. 2 years later, Carlos had lost 60 pounds, completed his first marathon, and completely transformed his health. But more importantly, he had discovered that he could make himself do anything he decided to do. He had developed unshakable discipline. Here's what Carlos learned that most people never figure out. Discipline isn't about forcing yourself to do things you hate. Discipline is about training yourself to do what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. The wealthy 3% understand that discipline is like compound interest for your character. Every time you do what you said you would do, especially when you don't want to, you make a deposit in your discipline account. Over time, these deposits compound and you become someone who can be trusted to follow through on any commitment. But even discipline has its limits. You can be consistent and disciplined, but if your mindset is programmed for failure, you'll sabotage your own success. That's why the third pillar is the most important of all. Your mindset is everything. It's the lens through which you see the world, and it determines whether you see problems or opportunities, obstacles or stepping stones, failures or feedback. Most people don't realize that their thoughts are creating their reality every single day. What you think about most often becomes your experience. If you think about lack, you'll experience lack. If you think about abundance, you'll experience abundance. This isn't wishful thinking, this is how your brain works. Maria Gonzalez discovered this truth when her small restaurant was on the verge of bankruptcy. She had worked 16-hour days for 3 years, but customers weren't coming. Her savings were gone. The bank was threatening foreclosure. Every morning she woke up thinking about everything that was going wrong. She obsessed over the competition down the street that always seemed busy. She worried about the negative review someone left online. She complained about the economy, the weather, the customers who didn't appreciate good food. Maria's mind was completely focused on problems. And somehow, more problems kept appearing. One evening, an old friend visited Maria's restaurant. After listening to Maria complain for an hour, her friend asked a simple question. What if instead of focusing on what's wrong, you focused on what could go right? Maria thought this was ridiculous. How could positive thinking pay her bills? But her friend challenged her to try something different for just 30 days. Instead of starting each day thinking about problems, Maria would write down 3 things she was grateful for and 3 opportunities she could pursue that day. The first week felt fake. Maria was just going through the motions. But something strange started happening. When she looked for opportunities instead of problems, she started finding them everywhere. She noticed that her location had great foot traffic during lunch hours that she wasn't capturing. She realized that many customers loved her homemade desserts and might pay extra for takeaway versions. Within 30 days, Maria had implemented 5 new ideas that came from her shifted mindset. She started a lunch delivery service for nearby offices. She began selling her desserts to 3 local coffee shops. She created a loyalty program that brought customers back more frequently. 6 months later, Maria's restaurant was profitable for the first time. A year later, she opened a second location. The food hadn't changed, the location hadn't changed, the economy hadn't changed, only Maria's mindset had changed, and that changed everything. This is the power of mindset. When you change how you think, you change how you act. When you change how you act, you change your results. When you change your results, you change your life. Successful people have trained their minds to work for them instead of against them. When they face a setback, they ask, what can I learn from this? When they encounter an obstacle, they ask, how can I turn this into an advantage? When they fail, they ask, what will I do differently next time? Average people do the opposite. They focus on blame instead of solutions. They see problems instead of possibilities. They ask, why me, instead of what now? This difference in thinking creates completely different results in life. Your mindset also determines how you handle success. People with a scarcity mindset believe there's not enough to go around, so they hoard opportunities and push others down. People with an abundance mindset know that success multiplies when shared, so they lift others up and create win-win situations. But here's what most people don't understand about mindset. You don't change it by thinking different thoughts once in a while. You change it by consistently practicing new thought patterns until they become automatic. This requires the consistency and discipline we've already discussed. When you combine the right mindset with unwavering consistency and iron discipline, you become unstoppable. Let me show you how these 3 pillars work together. Now you understand the 3 pillars that separate the successful 3% from everyone else. But here's what most people miss. These pillars don't work in isolation. They work together like the legs of a 3-legged stool. Remove any one leg and the whole thing collapses. Consistency without discipline leads to sporadic effort. Discipline without the right mindset leads to burnout. Mindset without consistency and discipline leads to empty dreams. But when you master all 3 together, you become unstoppable. Let me tell you the complete story of David Kim, a man who went from sleeping in his car to building a multi-million-dollar empire by mastering these 3 pillars. 3 years ago, David was 34 years old and his life was falling apart. He had been laid off from his accounting job during company downsizing. His apartment lease was up, but he couldn't afford the deposit for a new place. His credit cards were maxed out. His girlfriend had left him because she was tired of his financial problems. David found himself sleeping in his Honda Civic in a Walmart parking lot, wondering how his life had gone so wrong. He had a college degree, He had work experience, he was intelligent and capable, yet here he was, homeless and hopeless. For 2 weeks, David wallowed in self-pity. He blamed the economy, his former employer, his ex-girlfriend, and anyone else he could think of. He spent his days at the library using free internet to apply for jobs that never called back. He spent his nights in his car, feeling sorry for himself. Then one morning, David had a moment of clarity that changed everything. He was reading a business book at the library when he came across a quote, "Your current situation is not your final destination." Something clicked. David realized that he had been focusing entirely on his problems instead of his possibilities. That day, David made 3 decisions that transformed his life. First, he decided to change his mindset. Instead of seeing himself as a victim, he would see himself as someone who was temporarily between successes. Instead of focusing on what he had lost, he would focus on what he could gain. Second, he decided to be disciplined about his daily routine. He created a schedule and stuck to it religiously. Every morning at 6 a.m., he would wake up and exercise in the parking lot. Then he would shower at the community center, eat a healthy breakfast, and spend 4 hours learning new skills online. The afternoons were for job searching and networking. Evenings were for planning the next day. Third, he committed to consistency. He would follow this routine every single day, no matter how he felt, no matter what happened, no matter how many rejections he received. The first week was brutal. David's body hurt from sleeping in the car. His ego hurt from having to shower at a public facility. His pride hurt from his situation, but he stuck to his routine. Mindset told him this was temporary. Discipline kept him moving forward. Consistency compounded his efforts. After 2 weeks of this routine, David noticed something interesting. He felt more confident and energetic than he had in months. The daily exercise was improving his physical health. The learning was improving his mental sharpness. The structured routine was improving his emotional stability. After 1 month, David had learned advanced Excel skills, basic coding, and digital marketing fundamentals. He had also networked with dozens of professionals through online forums and local meetups. His consistency in showing up and providing value to others was building relationships. After 2 months, David received 3 job offers, but instead of taking the highest paying one immediately, he negotiated with all 3 companies. His new mindset told him he had value to offer. His discipline helped him prepare thoroughly for negotiations. His consistency in building skills and relationships had created options. David took a position that paid 40% more than his previous job, with better benefits and growth opportunities within 6 months. He had his own apartment and money in savings. But David didn't stop there. He continued his morning routine of exercise and learning. He continued networking and building relationships. He continued developing his skills. His consistency and discipline were now habits, and his mindset was permanently shifted to growth and abundance. After 1 year at his new job, David launched a side business providing digital marketing services to small businesses. He worked on it for 2 hours every evening and 4 hours each weekend. His consistency paid off as his client base grew steadily. After 2 years, David's side business was earning more than his day job. He made the leap to full-time entrepreneurship. His mindset told him he could succeed. His discipline kept him working when clients were demanding. His consistency built a reputation for reliability that generated referrals. Today, just 3 years after sleeping in his car, David employs 23 people, and his company generates over $4 million in annual revenue. He owns a beautiful home, drives his dream car, and is engaged to an amazing woman who loves and supports his vision. But David's greatest achievement isn't his financial success. It's becoming the type of person who can create success in any situation. He has mastered the 3 pillars. And They have become part of who he is. David's story proves that where you start doesn't determine where you finish. Your current circumstances are not your permanent conditions. You have the power to change everything, starting today. Here's your transformation plan. For the next 90 days, commit to building these 3 pillars in your own life. Start small, but be consistent. Choose one area where you want to see improvement. Maybe it's your health, your finances, your relationships, or your career. Every morning, spend 10 minutes working on your mindset. Read something positive, practice gratitude, visualize your goals, or affirm your capabilities. Train your mind to work for you instead of against you. Every day, do one disciplined action toward your goal, even if you don't feel like it. Make it small enough that you can't fail. Maybe it's reading 5 pages, walking for 10 minutes, saving $5, or making one business call. Build your discipline muscle gradually. Do this consistently every single day for 90 days, no exceptions, no excuses, no negotiations with yourself. Mark it on your calendar, track your progress, celebrate small wins. After 90 days, you'll be amazed at how much you've accomplished and how much you've changed. But more importantly, you'll have proof that you can keep any commitment you make to yourself. You'll have developed the foundation for any level of success you desire. The wealthy 3% are not special people with magical powers. They are ordinary people who have learned to do ordinary things extraordinarily well. They have mastered consistency, discipline, and mindset. They have made these 3 pillars the foundation of their lives. The question now is simple. What will you choose? Will you join the 97% who make excuses, or the 3% who make progress? Will you let another year pass wondering what could have been, or will you start building the life you truly deserve? Your transformation begins the moment you decide it does, the moment you commit to consistency, discipline, and the right mindset, the moment you stop wishing and start working. That moment is now. Your extraordinary life is waiting. Go claim it.